Good afternoon. We'll start now because, as we said, we've got a little delay. We'll try to make up for lost time. I'm Juan Luis Engonces, a director of technology, and Juan Luis Quincores, director of Syntac Foundation, the Center of National Technologies for Accessibility. I'm happy to be here as a moderator. One very interesting, we talk about constantly our information societies and societies of knowledge. All of this goes very hand in hand with having access to those platforms that come from which that knowledge and those contents come from. The spaces, sometimes it can be complicated, and this means that there can be discrimination in options and in knowledge and in employment and personal development or professional development. Here together at the panel we have three persons with three different projects that make this roundtable have sense. These are resources for making technology and knowledge accessible to persons. I would like to thank Miguel Ángel Maqueta Júdez, Isabel Sánchez Mazes Montalbán. Thank you very much, all three of you. Miguel Ángel Maqueta began with a project of cyber volunteers. It's very interesting. He'll talk to us about it. Isabel will talk about her personal projects with discapacities. And then we'll hear from Jose Antonio about his project for the improvement of a project concerning accessibility through add-ons, which I think will be very interesting. We've got a lot of technology and support from the different universities in this area in Spain, and Vodafone, the UNED, Carlos III, etc. are all working with us, and I'd like to thank them. Also, Isabel, thank you for being here. Montalban is an expert tutor and professional in online platforms. You have a career not just in a lot of academic areas, but you have proven relationships with different platforms, online platforms, that will be very interesting for us to hear about. And lastly, but not least, we have Jose Antonio. I'd like to thank him for being here today. He is an IT engineer. He's working in research and development, ICP in English, I believe it is. ASP, ICP. Well, the truth is he's an expert in development, research and development, and in different spaces. I'd like to welcome him as well. Miguel Ángel, please proceed. Thank you for being here, and we look forward to what you have to say. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Miguel Ángel Maqueta. I work in the UNED, the Distance Learning University, and from my chair, We are trying to improve technology that is produced in our university so we can make it adapted to the needs of other students, especially students with disabilities. And for this reason, these persons often find barriers. Technology is something that can cause barriers itself. And this year, for the second time, we're presenting the project for volunteer students to make things more accessible. Cyber volunteers. This is a strange word, but this is an association of students who are volunteers. It's a technological group, as you can see by its name. It uses cyber technology. And the last part of their job is to work on visibility of materials and resources that are needed. Needed or produced. And for the UNED, this is a public university, and this started out being called a university by distance. Then it was online, but it's a university that has the greatest number of students in Spain, almost 250,000 students, and many are students with disabilities. The number of students with disabilities last year was over 8,000. You can see in the graph on the screen how this figure has evolved over the years. We also have information that explain the distribution by disabilities and which disabled persons have the greatest access to the university, who has the least, what their objectives are. We must say that our duty from our position is to develop work that's especially helpful for this type of student, work that can make their lives easier, technology that can help them further their studies. So how should we consider this project, given its nature of being an online or distance learning university? A few years ago, we designed an infrastructure called Prosavit, and the purpose was to automate everything we could, classes, resources, mainly video classes associated, and to have connections, interconnections with all sorts of things, video conferences, etc. We started back in around 2005, and later in 2010 to 2014, we thought about this type of platform and using it, trying to use this platform in a real hands-on way. Because we have to take advantage of the powerful resources that we do have and the amount of recorded material that we possess in the university is enormous. We have 9 million or more visits to the video repository. We have 4,000 videos that are open and available to everyone, accessible to everyone. So there are many people who contribute as associates, allowing their classes to endow this fund further. So now we'll go on to see what the volunteering consists in. As we said, we have a big number of resources, so the idea was to have transcription of video classes. Volunteers undertook the transcription of audio and subtitling. There was labeling, semantic labeling, that gave more semantic meaning. And then we had the creation of accessible, a catalog of accessible documents. This also was possible, although we couldn't cover all of it. And what were the transcriptions and the subtitles all about? Let's see what this consisted in. Well, we won't go into all the detail, but we'll say that we had a type of transcription that could provide information and context. The type of study, the class, we defined further details, marking the times and all the contents, all the text that the professor was giving, including also contents that were alternative in character, that could have something to do with or be related to the video class. The subtitles consisted in taking that transcription to delimiting what was said over a time of speech, dividing that up so that it could be adapted using audiovisual tools. And we had a format which was FXP, and this was pretty standard XML. FXP was chosen.
That allows us to have a full collection of accessible resources for all, with different multimedia elements. The video file, the audio file, the transcription, the subtitles file, as well as other related documents related to the classroom, for example, professors' materials, web references, among others. Several resources fostering mobility anytime, anywhere, for any device, thinking about different learning models. Let me talk to you about the cyber volunteering. We classified all the requests by volunteers thanks to our colleagues from Unit Desk. We classified the different files and the demands of the different students, we ask them what are the video classes that are most interesting to you, because we have endless resources and it is very difficult to make them accessible to everyone. So which one is the one that you're more interested about? We elaborated different user manuals and guidelines to know how to access documents. We also created a platform for other students. We coordinated the human resources to be in touch and to start different discussions. And after that, we collected the transcriptions, we assessed the semantics, and once we verified everything was correct, we rewarded these people, not with money of course, but giving them 4 credits at university credits, and the best volunteer received a prize, the one who worked harder and who really deserved the best prize. What are the outcome? What is the outcome of this? This is a second edition. On the first edition, we had 13 volunteers. 8 of them finalized everything they were requested. 42 transcriptions were performed with semantics labels. On the first edition, we only transcribed and edited, but we didn't subtitle anything whatsoever. And we didn't provide documents accessibility. These took since June until October. We transcribed what they requested, of course. Social works, geography and history, education, business administration, and a master's degree in education. Some works were bilingual, transcribed into English and Spanish. What is the result of this second edition? This year we are going to analyze the results, but we had 59 volunteers initially, but only 5 of them completed the work. Then 4 almost completed everything. 26 transcriptions and 21 subtitles, plus 19 semantic labeling. It included psychology, language literature, Spanish literature, English studies, and another degree in history and geography, as well as education, engineering, and ICT. This work was carried out in 3 months, since February the 1st until the 30th of April. We have also analyzed the results. Numerous surveys have taken place, and we asked several questions, and these are the results, the ones that you can see on the slide. Please note that most people with disabilities are people with physical disabilities, accounting for the vast majority, 42% of them, and the use of support materials, as you can see on the screen, was not widely used. 68% of the people said we did not need the materials. We haven't analyzed the results or the reasons why, but the thing is that 42% of the people were people with physical disabilities, therefore they did not need any support materials. And you can also see on the screen the number of students with a disability and the breakdown per faculty and university. And the second piece of information that's very relevant to us all, on the survey we tried measuring the level of satisfaction among the users in view of the content, the quality of transcriptions, and the result was very positive, quite positive for the most part. In terms of content accessibility, totally agree, or 58% of the people said that the quality of the transcription is accurate. Although, if you can see the screen, 30 people, that is 42.25%, could not really define whether the transcription was a quality transcription or not. So many people didn't even reply to this question. In terms of the use of the materials, the accessible materials, which is the primary goal of our project, we realized that 50 plus percent of the people said it is fully accessible and the contents are very useful for our studies. That's it on my part, really. That's all I wanted to comment regarding this project. That's what I wanted to share with you. We still have to analyze the results of this year's edition in order to prepare different surveys that really allow us to accurately measure results and to draw the best findings and conclusions in order to prepare ourselves for future editions of this initiative. But hopefully we will tell you about this next year. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, Miguel Ángel. I will now give the floor to Isabel Mases Moltamban, who is going to talk to us about virtual professional practices for students with disabilities. Thank you very much indeed. Hello, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for coming to this session. I'm going to talk to you about a project called Virtual Professional Practices for Students with Disabilities. That we've carried out in the Center for Care of University Students with Disabilities, a project that started in 2013. As Miguel Ángel said, I won't really deepen on the figures and walk you through the figures, but when we talk about the beneficiaries of the project, it's roughly 40% of university students with disabilities. Therefore, our university is heavily involved in the search of answers to this group of individuals that are paramount to our university. That is the reason why we try to maximize design for all and universal accessibility, some terms that are very familiar to everyone in this conference. Regarding the project we launched, the Professional Practices Project, extracurricular practices, so not mandatory. That is the main distinction. Those that are done by volunteers. We have received the support of external support, Fundación Universia for the first 2 years, and for the last 2 years, Fundación ONCE, the ONCE Foundation, has supported us in 2014 and 15 throughout FSC Inserta and with an European social funded project. And as I said before, these are internships, extracurricular internships, aside from the core of studies. They are regulated by a Spanish royal decree dated July the 11th, 2014, because the previous one was rather obsolete and we needed to update the law. But the most important thing is in this type of internships is the intermediation of universities signing agreement with the cooperating entities. The greatest novelty is that this was not on site, it was completely virtual, breaking the barriers of the need to be physically present on the company. We thought it was a very good alternative, especially in cases of reduced mobility users, when you can really allow students to stay at their homes, and allowing lots of candidates to participate in these initiatives. We worked with our e-learning platform from our university, as Miguel Ángel mentioned. This is yet another chapter in this platform. We wanted to adapt the platform to allow for students to benefit from these internships. The goal was twofold: to allow for equal opportunities, to avoid the physical barriers, increase in employability, allowing students to have a professional experience while working, and to allow proper balance for students to combine their professional and university life as well as their personal life in a properly balanced manner. Who are the main beneficiaries? Are students with some sort of disability. Let me talk to you about the figures. The number of students with disabilities is 8,000 in our universities for different bachelor's degrees. These are our beneficiaries, our targets really. It is also very important to bear in mind the features of these group of individuals, because the faculties of law, psychology have more students requesting this type of initiatives. As Miguel Ángel already mentioned, most students, roughly 50% of them, have physical disabilities or physical impairment. Therefore, we realized we needed to bring a new alternative as opposed to the on-site internships. There are three agents in this model: students, company tutors guiding the internship as a whole, leading the internship, and also the university tutor, who is responsible for carrying out a complete monitoring, control, making sure that the tasks are fully aligned with the degree they are enrolled in. Now, as far as the methodology is concerned, we try to give virtual support in the internship. It is telework, really, which is another alternative, very powerful indeed, bearing in mind the endless numbers of ICTs.
Parte de una empresa, le dábamos un espacio, lo traducíamos en un curso virtual.
We created different virtual courses on our platform. The virtual course had several tools allowing people to be in contact and following the different tasks. On the portal, as you can see on the slide, on the virtual internship portal, we have 4 main apps for applications that can be customized based on the realities in the different companies and the needs of our students. But there is one app for documents. It's like a Dropbox application or a Google Drive where you can upload materials, anything that the tutor may deem necessary, and students can also upload the activities they develop. If we're talking about a translation and interpretation internship, they can upload their translations, but it really depends on the offer, because not all the materials can be uploaded, or perhaps they don't need to be uploaded. But so far this is the support we are currently using, allowing us to do a follow-up. There is also another application for the task with a description of the task required, the task that involves the student, the company. Also, if the tutor wants to do so, if they want to send some links, they can do so. There is also a chat application for an open discussion with the tutor of the company, and in other cases we even use teleconference and video conference. The platform, as you can see, grants you the access to different apps that are fully accessible out of the website. So this is part of our day-to-day routine, even if we don't work offline. So with this system that we've developed and encouraged, since 2013, January 2013, we've involved 21 companies, both corporations and SMEs, that are already familiar with telework, and we have given the possibility to different types of offers. There are lots of offers related to IT, communication, but many others related to other industries. Industries that we didn't really think at the beginning were so keen on telework, but we were wrong. So we have had 63 internships, paid internships in most cases, so the students receive a grant or minimum amount of money, and we have involved students from all around the country, Spain, and aged between 25 and 55 years old, because the distance learning university in Spain is really varied. The labor insertion for them is a bit difficult, especially for the older ones. As I said before, the tasks are very different and varied. A lot of them in digital marketing and communication, because all the companies are currently demanding tasks in those spheres and environments, and there's massive open courses. Our university students have embarked on a project led by Universia, and they did their internships in this platform, as well as these other offers that are also apt for telework, legal advisory tasks for large corporations such as Repsol, as well as some benchmarking tasks. E-trade is very important, the administration of an online store, as well as different tasks that can be done and performed not on site. Yes, we have many hurdles in terms of confidentiality, but it's doable, and the large corporations put the platforms available to us to carry out these internships. So in terms of the participating entities, large corporations as well as SMEs, namely Repsol has been very involved with 22 students, and other entities, smaller entities, have been very much involved and active nonetheless. We have reached all the regions in Spain, people aged between 25 and 55 years old. And I'd like to finalize my talk with a video because it really is a summary of the benefits of this system. It is the experience of one of our students who worked at Repsol, and after a year internship she was hired by the company.
Hola, soy Cristina Abad, soy de Eibar, Guipúzcoa. Soy estudiante del máster de acceso a la abogacía en la UNED. He tenido la posibilidad de participar en las prácticas virtuales de UNED junto a grandes empresas, como por ejemplo esta, que es
opportunity to work for Repsol.
Como mis tareas y demás han sido dentro del equipo de asignación internacional.
I worked for the international allocation team at Repsol. After my internship, I had the opportunity to be hired by Repsol in the headquarters in Madrid in the same team, the same international allocation team. It's been an outstanding opportunity, and I highly encourage anyone to do the virtual internships, because it really allows us to do something that's very positive. It is really very valuable in terms of study and work, and working for a cutting-edge large corporation. It's wonderful. We've used computers, video conference, and we've made use of telephone and different applications in case we needed them. The tasks are to submit an email, to draw the minutes of a meeting, anything we may be asked, like to draw a report or to write a document. I highly encourage everyone to enroll themselves onto the Educanet internship. Whether they are studying for a bachelor's degree or a master's degree. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much, Isabel. When you really see the outcome of these initiatives, when you really materialize these initiatives, it's wonderful. And that was an example that's very moving, when someone really ends up being autonomous and having a work. So to finalize, I'd like to give the floor to Jose Antonio, thanking him first because he's going to talk to us about the project to improve accessibility and to improve accessibility on websites. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. The tool I've just mentioned has been funded by the Cloud for All project.
We have a stand outside. If you'd like to visit Cloud for All, you can in the next room. It's a European project. And I will give a presentation very quickly with a video explaining how the tool works. And then if you have any interest, you can go to our stand. Before I begin to talk about the tool, first off, I'd like to make sure that that you understand about the tool. In an ideal world, all websites should be accessible. I want you to see this clearly. Personalization of web pages allow users to adapt web pages. Many web pages can have problems, and we can't do anything about them, the ones that already exist. But if the user can adapt these with certain support mechanisms. That's what it's all about, and that's why we're working to make web pages accessible. What are the main difficulties or what are the main situations that users can find? Sometimes products don't work properly, or the design is not adequate, the type of font. I'll give you some examples, show you some examples, and you can see where the problems usually reside. And there's also a problem with context. We've perhaps gone outside with our mobile phones and we can't read them because the sunlight is too bright, but we can work to get interfaces with greater contrast and overcome these problems. One problem we found in the website often is, unfortunately, text that we can't read because they're over an image, or they use a color that is makes them unable to read. Types of fonts. It's true that fonts can cause problems for users with cognitive disabilities or attention problems. So we work to make adaptation of the font. I may be exaggerating somewhat, but we found a lot of web pages with letters that were too small, with spaces that were too tight, with small space between lines. If we could take those images off the screen and have them different, I think you'd be able to understand what they're trying to say a lot better. These are examples of what made us think about doing this project. We realized that we had to go ahead with something that would make it possible for users to develop interfaces that could make it easier for them to use these web pages and this content. So we must be able to personalize these interfaces and address the problems, adapt the problems. There are many options that exist where you can use Control Plus or scroll. There are different extensions that exist, but they're solutions that are for very specific issues. And navigators can even even navigators have options to adapt things somewhat, but everyone has to look in a specific place, and not everyone knows how to get there, or even that these possibilities exist. Not everyone is techie as we are. Not everyone can do these things. So that's where we decided to come up with a personalization tool. As I said earlier, this is something that tries to allow users to modify web pages, adapting them to their needs, and it groups the adaptations or the add-ons that can be implemented. Things can be made visible on the website or in the browser. We've added
que
another
permite al
function
usuario
that
poder
allows users
importar
to
sus
import
preferencias, o sea,
their
desde un
preference.
servidor de preferencias y aplicaciones
There
cuyos
are
los que el
applications
usuario
where
puede
users
registrarse,
can
mediante un
register,
cuestionario puede
fill out a questionnaire
rellenando un cuestionario con una serie de pruebas,
with
se captan cuáles
certain
son sus
tests.
preferencias, cuáles son
They
las
capture
opciones
the
que mejor
user's
le vienen
preference and what best suits the user.
para poder verla, para que después pueda adaptarse a la
So
página a esas preferencias y
the
las
page can be best adapted to that person. If the user has a profile already created in Cloud for All, the user can automatically go in and the page becomes adapted to that person. We've got two versions, two releases. These are two for Chrome and Firefox, and a plugin to include in the web page, so that the developers don't have to make too many efforts to ensure that the application is covering the web page as much as it should. More specifically, extensions for Chrome and Firefox, when we started, they had the button on the right up on the and in the direction arrows. You just had to click on the control panel where you had different options. You could magnify, change colors, improve contrast. You had options for configuring texto, changing the space between lines, the different fonts, and the cursor could be made larger or smaller. In the case of extensions or add-ons, you can include other add-ons. We had, in this case, extensions or add-ons that were some were for Chrome and some were for Firefox, Chromebox. Specifically, the extension works through Cloud for All. They're adapted to Cloud for All, and when you launch your browser, we see if the user is associated with Cloud in that device or not. If the user exists, if there is a Cloud for All system with someone listening, we can see if the interface is automatically adapted or not. And the plugin for the web page, as you can see, the access is through a button that's placed in a visible, accessible place. And this way we see a control panel, which is a little bit more special. It's encrusted in the web page, and it would be up, and we can scroll down to see the verifications of what's been done in the different places of the website. But if it's a really big job, a really high resolution, things can be different. It can be encrusted in the web, embedded. What we've done is now in the final development stage. We're seeing if we can make some enhancements. And specifically, this will be connected with Chrome, but we've made try with another server where you can connect to the server you prefer, and things go automatically. Now I'll show a video of how this works. And if you need any more information, as I said, we have a stand outside, and we would be happy to wait on you there.
¿Veis? Estamos aplicando, bueno, diferentes configuraciones de colores,
Here we have some different configurations of color,
inversión de colores.
different versions of color, different
y
nuances.
aplicamos un-
And we're going to apply one.
Tiene hasta 300%, ¿vale? Tampoco.
This is 300% zoom.
Delineado. Las otras herramientas funcionan
The other
exactamente igual,
tools
por lo
work
tanto, he hecho un
exactly
vídeo
the same, and we've got a video where you can see this.
Básicamente, bueno, pues bueno, aquí lo que pasa es que no se oirá.
Here, well,
No
you
se
won't
oye.
be able
Bueno,
to hear, but
¿veis? Está funcionando Chromebox.
Chromebox is working. You can't hear it, but
Ahora mismo hay una locución diciendo lo que
there's a voice that's actually speaking, telling
básicamente,
you.
bueno, el vídeo pues tampoco tiene mucho más.
But that's about all the video has,
Con lo
actually.
que cualquier duda que tengáis,
Any
o si
questions
queréis
you
ver
might have,
el
if you would like to
funcionamiento,
see it
estaré un
working,
rato ahí en la
I'll be at our
en el-
stand for a while,
micrófono.
and I'd be glad to show it to you.
Y muchas gracias por vuestra atención.
Thank you very much for your attention.
Muchas gracias, José Antonio.
Thank you, José Antonio.
Bueno, pues, el vídeo para las personas
The
que
video
no
for those persons who
podían verlo, pues
couldn't see
describía
it
básicamente la
showed
capacidad de ir
essentially
cambiando el
the ability
perfil
to
de
change the
contrastes, de
profile,
tamaño de
the
letras,
contrast, the
delineados,
font,
etcétera,
the
etcétera.
enter
Muchísimas gracias. Si hay alguna
line
pregunta
space.
en la
If there are
sala
any
para
questions
cualquiera
in
de
the
los
room for
ponentes,
any of the
ahora mismo,
speakers, we could take them now.
Adelante, por favor.
Please go ahead.
Sí,
Perdona, ahora te pasan también.
no sabía que estaba antes.
Luego.
Sí, muchas gracias a
Thank
los
you.
tres ponentes.
I'd like to
Una
thank the
pregunta
three
para
speakers. I have
Miguel
a
Ángel.
question for Miguel Ángel.
Valoro enormemente vuestra
I
iniciativa
really
y
value
lo que
your
estáis
initiatives
logrando,
and what you're
a pesar de
achieving,
las dificultades
despite
para
the
conseguir que completen
difficulties
la tarea.
that have been
Lo que
involved to
preguntáis, mi
complete
pregunta es,
your task. My question
¿qué lleva a
specifically
tener
is,
que recurrir
what would
al
mean that we would
voluntariado
have to
para una labor como es
recur
conseguir contenidos
and go to
accesibles
volunteers to
deberíamos
achieve
suponer que deberían estar
things that
cubiertos,
we think should already be
bien
covered,
directamente
and
por los
indirectly
fondos de universidad, que
by
confiaban
the
por
universities
subvención externa,
go to
y sin embargo tenemos
seek
que
outside
acabar recurriendo a
funding
voluntarios
and not
porque
just have to
ningún
rely
egresado de
on
la academia, ni la universidad,
volunteers,
ni el profesor, ni
because
las instituciones, estamos
institutions, professors, and students are playing a very valuable role, but it's not enough.
Pero sí, yo Samuel.
Well, what's your name, Samuel? Samuel?
If
If from the institutions and different organizations they need more help, more subsidies, it would be much easier. But when there are no subsidies, we have to try to cover that vacuum ourselves. Since we have that amount of resources there, those resources exist, and we can spend time on them, that's where we focus ourselves, our attention. If there were more resources and financial and human, we would welcome them, of course. With other colleagues and other students, we would also love to be involved more. I'd like to add something out of solidarity and because of entitlement. I think we should ask that these
como antes
things
comentaba
be
también José
accessible
Antonio,
from the
es
outset,
agradecer
as Jose
que se estén
Antonio
buscando
said. I
soluciones
think
para
we
poder
should
acortar
appreciate that we're looking for
esa actuación
solutions to
mientras las cosas
shorten
ocurran como
these
deben ocurrir,
actions
y es de agradecer por la
while
acción que estáis haciendo y
we're
los
waiting
perfiles
for things to be
voluntarios, así como
done
los
as they
perfiles,
should be
etcétera.
done.
Pero yo creo que hay que
But
exigir
I think
que
we
los
have to
profesores
make
hagan los documentos accesibles
demands
sí o sí,
that
porque
professors
también son
make
funcionarios de
materials
este país, sois la administración pública.
accessible. These are,
muchos
in the most
casos, y
cases,
también
are
deben
public
hacerlo,
institutions,
están
public
obligados por la
universities,
ley
and they
hoy en
should
día,
be
por
required
la exigencia
by
por
law
les ha llevado.
today
Y la
to
universidad
make
se lo debe exigir a ellos mismos.
this
Y si no pudieran
knowledge
publicar sus
accessible
su
to
cantidad de
all. And if
artículos
they
en formato no accesible,
can't publish
verías cómo
all their,
automáticamente ponen
if they can't
accesibles, ¿no?
publish
Yo creo
articles
que el
unless
interés
they're
que tienen para publicar
accessible
para su
to
propio
all,
currículum,
you would see very
deberían también
quickly that
tenerlo
they
para
would
que
begin to
se
make them
pudieran
accessible
proyectos
to all in
que
order
al
to
final pagamos entre
publish.
todos, ¿no? Y
So
todos
this is
tenemos el
something
derecho
we
de
can all
tenerlo.
put
Totalmente
pressure
de acuerdo
on
contigo, eso debería estar
professors
resuelto
and
previamente.
institutions to
Menos mal
do.
que en cualquier caso, mientras,
In any case,
mientras no
while
ocurre que se cumpla lo que yo creo que ya es obligado
what
por
should
ley,
be
pues hay herramientas y
happening
hay personas y hay entidades
by
que
law
pueden
is
estar
when,
ayudando.
as long as it's not happening, we are working on it, and that's something
Había otra pregunta.
positive.
Buenas
I have a
tardes,
question.
yo voy a
Good
pedir
afternoon. I'd
perdón
like
porque no hablo
to
español
say
bien,
I'm sorry I don't
inglés peor.
speak
Entonces voy
Spanish well, and my
intentar hacer.
English
Yo
is
soy
worse, but
profesora
I'm a
de universidad
professor
también,
at the
estoy
university,
participando de
a
una
university
investigación
professor.
en
I'm
red en
involved
Brasil
in Brazil in
con diversas
a
universidades con
network
inversión de
project
Ministerio
that
de Educación.
involves different
Y el
universities
proyecto se
and the
llama
Ministry
Accesibilidad en el Ensino
of
Superior.
Education.
Entonces,
This project
hay una serie de
is
acciones
called
en este sentido.
Accessibility in Higher
De adaptación de
Education.
material,
It's about adapting
investigaciones,
material,
formación
research,
de
training
profesionales, todo junto.
of
Entonces,
professionals, all
Isabel,
eh,
Juan Miguel,
to all users' needs.
Miguel Ángel, disculpa. Gisela estaba siempre o que
Miguel
están
Ángel
haciendo de parte de
is
que
your name,
también
right? Well,
estamos,
you were
estamos
saying
haciendo. Y estaba justamente pensando en
that you are doing this also,
porque que
and
tenemos siempre que estar
why do we
haciendo
always have to
cosas
be
después
doing
que ya
things
están
after
listas? ¿Por qué no los materiales no están
the
ya
things are
accesibles
already
en la origen?
prepared?
Entonces es como que siempre estamos
We're
corriendo
always
atrás de
running
algo.
around, rushing to get something.
Y así como ustedes, nosotros
And
también no tenemos
you,
apoyo de nada.
like
Yo estoy, por
we
ejemplo,
have no
haciendo
support.
la transformación
We're
de todos los
undertaking
textos de las
transformation,
pesquisas
translation
en
of all the
audio.
texts
Yo y
that we
una
have
alumna,
in audio,
solo
just me
nosotros.
and one student.
Entonces, pero me ha gustado
But
mucho de su
I really
proyecto.
liked your project,
Y
and
para Miguel Ángel, gustaría
for
de saber
Miguel
una
Ángel, I'd
cosa.
like to ask you something.
¿Quién coordena
Who
esto?
coordinates
¿Quién
this?
coordena
Who
todos
coordinates
estos alumnos
all
voluntarios?
the
Si hay
volunteers?
un profesor
Is there
coordinador
a
que
teacher or a
cuida
professor who
solo de
is in
este
charge
o no?
only
¿Y cómo que
of
se da
this
esta
matter
coordinación de estos
or-
voluntarios
or
todos?
not?
Porque espero que
Who-
comprendido. Se hace virtualmente.
does
Los
this?
encuentra con
Are these
entonces,
encounters
y
virtual
cómo
or
que se hace
in
todo ese control de
face-to-face?
calidad. Y
Who makes
yo lo que entendí
quality
también
control
están,
of these
su material está más
encounters,
accesible para
and are
personas
materials
con
available
discapacidad
for
auditiva,
persons with
porque
auditive
no has mencionado,
disabilities?
por ejemplo,
You've already
audio o
mentioned
audiodescripción.
audio and audio
Entonces,
descriptions.
entonces esa era una pregunta que
That's a question, therefore,
y si
that I
ustedes
had.
no piensan en ya hacer esto en la
Are
origen,
you,
antes
if
que
you
el
don't
profesor,
think about
ya que el
doing this
profesor no
at
hace esto,
origin,
que el material antes de ir
needing this material in this format for the students before the fact.
Para Isabel,
For Isabel,
¿cómo que se hace
I'd like to ask
esta
her
parcería con
how
las empresas? Ellas
the
procuran
partnership
ustedes
with
o ustedes
companies
que
is
las
set
procuran?
up.
No he
Are you,
comprendido cómo que-
how do you get
que se
the
hace esto.
the
Entonces, las preguntas son para los dos.
the
Gracias.
positions,
Te
the
respondo pues a
internships? Well, I'd like to answer first regarding how we organize ourselves. We are 3 persons in our department, and we are sharing the work among ourselves. We have the head of the chair and myself, and we make daily follow-up of the forum through email checking for doubts, questions that volunteers might have. And we also do this through internet, and we see the rating of the transcription. If things have been done well, we look to make sure that everything is in order, well transcribed, and if not, we ask these transcriptions to be reviewed and revised. But it's the people in our department. Sorry, she's not using a microphone.
Era un proyecto, es un proyecto con el que hemos estado pues los 3 meses, más o menos, pues sí. Y ¿qué habías preguntado?
There's some things that take about 3, that we've been working for 3 months. Well, why don't you think about doing this at the beginning? Well, the problem we've had, the whole thing about working after the fact, you've got to realize that this material that we have is previous. It existed before the new way of doing things came about. And we have material that existed before that needs to be made available and accessible. But since this type of documentation or archive was not public, it wasn't necessary, but it's recommendable, and it would be recommendable for the professors themselves to make it accessible, but it's their decision in this case. We can't obligate them to make everything accessible. They are the owners of their work. Excuse me, Miguel Angel, they're the owners of their work if they want to keep it at home, but if they want to publish it at a public university, then conditions could be established requiring them to meet accessibility demands. If they want to participate in certain programs or even to have certain payroll complements, or even to just collect their salary, they might need to meet certain requisites in terms of accessibility. It's true that you can set lines up so that things work a new way. Multimedia is working quite well and becoming more accessible. But I do think that regarding contents of publications, we're still a little bit behind and not where we should be, especially I think we need to obligate professors. It's a matter of discipline. Well, it's all about dedicating a part of the time that they dedicate to contents, to making contents accessible. Thank you very much. Any further questions? We're very short on time. You were asking me about contacts, right? Well, it's two-way. We have companies that come to the university with an offer for internships, and they request students, and we explain the services that the university can offer, that we can have virtual or presential interns, and we also have interns who can have disabilities. Many times we, however, go out and look for that contact. We go to forums. Recently, in September, we went to an employment forum, and we got in touch with companies, or we go to a fair for disabled persons in Madrid and set up a stand. We contact companies through their websites. That's another way we reach them and propose collaboration.
Vamos caminando
We're
en ese sentido, tratamos de darle mucha
trying
visibilidad al
to
proyecto también, pues,
make our
acudiendo a
project as
congresos.
visible as
Hemos
possible.
realizado unos vídeos
We
con
participate
entrevistas
in a
a los
lot
estudiantes
of
que tenemos colgados también en
forums, a
Canal
lot of
y de esta
symposiums,
manera vamos
congresses,
funcionando.
and we have our website.
Una preguntilla última.
One last question
Para José Antonio.
for José Antonio,
Para que se estrene.
so he can say something.
Dos preguntillas rápidas. El plugin.
Two quick questions. Plug in, I suppose, these are a little technical, my questions, but I suppose that it's the plug-in would be, you would attack somewhat the web page CSS style. And another question is, when you take it out into the market, because you've mentioned that this is a pilot now, will you bring out versions that are compatible with CMS or Joomla, WordPress, etc.? Well, there are some. The idea that we have in the future is to integrate new technologies and be able to send content and have it translated and adapted, and that's what we're working on, for it to be shown on the website. But what you've seen, in most cases, this is with CSS. In terms of that first version or release that we brought out, or will bring out, we're thinking that we'll use it in our company. It'll be free, however, open. Anyone can use it. But we thought that it would be good to be handled by a content manager like me. That's where we're thinking of heading. A content manager like Joomla. Well, our time has ended. Thank you very much, Jose Antonio, Isabel, Miguel Angel. Thanks for being here. I'd like to thank all of the attendants for listening, and nothing more. Thank you very much.